Welcome to the Expanding Your Search and Stopping for Directions podcast with Brent Bailey. And at the tech booth, Jody Cook-Bailey and Luke Cardiel. We are growing our circles of connections and knowledge together with encouraging conversations and positive communications. And now, Brent Bailey.
Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to Expanding Your Search and Stopping for Directions. It's Brent Bailey, and it is another great day to be alive. No matter where you're watching us from, across the extensive network of platforms that you listen and watch us from, we're so glad to have you with us. Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, thank you so much for being with us across the board. All right, I'm joined over at the tech booth right now by Jody and by Luke. And guys, of course,
let's do this.
Hey.
Let's get this show on the road. Got an incredible show for you today.
Friday.
I have got a young man I've known for a long time, and I say that with respect because he has been making waves of influence from the moment I met him. He is a Christian hip-hop rapper, artist, out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, now out of Texas. I'm so excited to have Fedel, a.k.a. Anthony Flagg Jr., on the program with us today. And he's going to be here to talk about influence and just a whole slew of things. So, with that being said...
With that being said...
what's going on around the country?
Another Christian rapper. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
We cover the gambit on this show.
Yeah, we do. We do.
We have had Southern gospel legends. We've had wrestlers. We've had athletes, celebrities, rappers,
all
ministers.
Types of people love Jesus.
They do.
That's true.
Politicians. We've had them all.
We have. So let's talk about what's happening today. National Jersey Friday.
Oh man, I wish I would have known. I would have wore a jersey today.
I know. Same here. But it's the day. How do you do it? I mean, get your favorite team.
Just put a jersey on.
Yeah.
So with that being said, what if it was you and you should be doing it today? Who are you wearing?
Who are you wearing?
If I'm repping Orlando, I think I'm going to do the Orlando City soccer team.
I was going to say, because the Magic are terrible.
Yeah. And
it's not because we have a great facility here.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of spirit when you go to the games, but my gosh, they're just not good.
And people love the soccer team. Like, they get so into it here.
Yeah.
So it's fun.
And and then their semi-pro football team, the Solar Bears, actually have a really big following here.
Okay.
And it seems like there's the Raptors or something like that.
Yes, the Raptors.
Yeah, the Raptors is also a arena football.
Well, when the
Solar Bears is hockey.
Yeah.
Raptors is...
Me and my buddies, when the XFL was a thing, we started getting really into the Tampa Vipers.
Yeah, that lasted
We'd
a long
always do that.
lasted a long time, didn't it? So.
Yeah, right.
Poor Vince McMahon. He's
The
tried
Rock
that
bought it.
Actually, The Rock did buy it, and it probably will be. It'll probably come back, and it'll probably be really good. So, anyway, so who are you wearing today? If it was me, of course, I'm wearing Kentucky. I've got on the wrong colors. I'm wearing black and red today, which is Louisville's colors.
Yeah.
But anyway, if I knew, I would have worn a Kentucky jersey.
Your Louisville friends will be happy.
That's right. They would
that
be.
You are representing them today.
So,
The next thing
who would you wear? Who would you wear?
I wear
Jody.
Kentucky.
Would you? Okay.
I mean, I know I should probably wear
Trained.
California,
You would. I was going to say USC, Lakers. What would you?
Or are you?
All right.
Oh yeah.
There you go. Or are you? Yeah.
Because I mean,
I don't know what's going on with this. I can't quite get this comfortable.
Well,
So, all right, there we go. That's better. All right, go ahead.
Okay, let's move on to the food day.
Food day, yes.
Okay, National Nachos Day.
What?
Ooh, okay, that's
Nachos.
a good one.
That's
yes.
like my kryptonite. Like if I'm trying to control myself and eat
yeah.
well, if you bring chips and salsa around.
It's gonna be a rough
hard.
Night.
Ooh, I love.
So, is this
nachos.
just chips and salsa, or is this like
It's
nachos
whatever you
with
want. It's
meat and
nachos.
cheese
I mean,
and
how do
everything
you
else?
enjoy nachos? I mean,
That's a great question of the day.
cheese,
How do you
meat,
like them?
You know
Bel
how
you-
Grande.
You know how you enjoy nachos? By not sharing.
Yeah, I think isn't that
Because
from
they
a commercial?
nachos.
Because they nachos.
It's
Nachos.
And I love Doritos,
Sure.
but I wouldn't. For today, I would not put that in place of
No.
real nachos. I mean,
So here's a good question. What restaurant has your favorite nachos? Now, if you're talking with meat and cheese and all that stuff on them, Planet Hollywood at Downtown Disney, it's this
Really?
big. It's this
that
big
is-
giant
that's
mound.
Right. It is very good.
Beef, cheese,
Lots of stuff.
peppers,
Uh-huh.
onions, tomatoes, all that on it. But if you're talking about quick, I don't know that you can beat the Nachos Bel Grande at Taco Bell.
Preston
think you can beat it.
he'll get that all day long.
Now,
Nachos Bel Grande.
what about chips and salsa?
Chips and salsa abuelos? I love chips and salsa.
Not bad.
Abuelos and Chewies.
For me,
Not
if
bad.
I'm getting like the mound of nachos with like the loaded nachos,
Yeah.
I really like Senor Tequila in Tulsa.
Boy, that was
Yes.
good.
Yeah.
It was
Yes,
good.
it was very good. Now I'm gonna throw y'all off. I used to work at the Macaroni Grill, and they used to make nachos.
Yes, they did.
Yeah,
So
they did. I remember
that. They did.
with Alfredo sauce.
Those chips.
Yes.
Those
Seemed
chips
like-
were so good.
Didn't
They
they
were
have
so
one that
good.
had banana peppers baked
Yes,
into it?
Yeah.
Oh
banana
my
peppers,
God, it was
Alfredo
so good. Yes,
sauce.
agreed.
Exactly what you're talking
Meat. Oh,
Yes.
we better move on because we
Jesus.
could go.
Yeah.
You
We're
know,
all going to
on a-
backslide on our
Are they
diet.
still open? Are they still a thing? The
Yeah,
macaroni
macaroni.
grill?
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
last I saw.
Yeah, there's one here in Orlando.
Yeah.
We're
Oh, I
eating
need
at.
a.
Yeah,
ooh,
now I'm kind of wanting to go get.
I want to go get some nachos.
I actually used to
Remember
do that
where
a lot
it
when I
is?
worked
It's
there.
over. I'll tell you where it
It's-
is. It's over off of
Apopka
Apopka Vineland. Yep.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so those
Just
of you in
south of Dr.
Orlando-
Phillips. Yep.
Yeah, I know.
Yep.
what you're talking
Over by
Yeah.
the west or the east entrance of Disney.
Yes.
It's over in that
Near
area right
Joe's
there.
Crab
so.
Shack.
Yes.
Yes, we've been to both.
Yeah. All right. That's
Okay,
terrible.
so the last
just
thing.
showing
There's
how
also a
much we love food
Shoney's
right
over
now.
there that
There
reopened.
is a Shoney's.
It's one of the few Shoney's
Yeah.
left in America. So.
Yeah. So let's move on though. Okay.
On the border open there as well.
Oh,
over
you
there
guys
as
just
well?
want to-
All right. All right. Keep going, Jody. Keep
Fine,
going.
Fine. Okay.
Keep
It's fine. We
going.
don't have to.
Let's move on and talk
the
about
next
something else.
thing is Saxophone Day, National
Okay.
Saxophone Day. So how they say to observe it is.
No? How?
That's what I'm telling you.
Oh, okay.
So listen to some jazz music, and I mean, a saxophone is one of the most popular instruments in
Sure.
in jazz music.
Sure.
But does anybody know who created or came up with the name saxophone? for
Kenny
this
G.
instrument?
Mr. Sax.
No, it is Mr. Sax. Adolph Sax. He was born in 1814, and he came up with the saxophone.
Saxophone.
A phone. So how you observe it. I mean, going to a jazz concert would be great, but we're not quite able to do that right now. So
No,
Listen to
we
some
aren't.
Kenny G.
there might
He
might
plays
be some
that
online
alto
ones.
sax, though, right? Isn't that what he plays?
I think he plays like all
The
of them,
tenor
right?
sax or whatever?
Yeah.
But all the most
I
of
think he is alto though.
yeah, most of what he's known for is that really high one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hearing his. Yeah. So anyway, National Saxophone Day. Enjoy it.
Oh, all right.
All right.
That's
so-
amazing. All right. So, a couple things that are kind of cool in history. Today in 1994, George Foreman became the world's oldest heavyweight champion at
Very
age
cool.
45. Now, I'm just going to say
Crazy.
this. I remember in 1994 watching that fight against Michael Moore, and I remember thinking, God, he's so old. And the truth is, he's 4 years younger than I am right now. And I just
George
remember
Foreman?
at that time
Oh,
when he
at
won the
that time.
heavyweight championship, he was 4 years younger than I am right now. And I remember sitting in there. We would watch all the fights at my dad's house, and I remember watching, going, "Man, I don't know how he's doing that. He's so old." And
And now.
now I just think, well, I feel like I could.
He's got that old man strength.
He does.
Well, but he looked older too. I guess that's what happens when you take a pounding, to the
Yeah.
face your
Oh, yeah.
career.
Yeah,
You
it's
look
not a
older than
very
you do. But
pretty sport.
anyway, it was 1994 when he won the national or the world heavyweight champion for Michael Moore at the MGM Grand in front of 12,000 people. So-
And now we got Mike Tyson about to do that fight.
and you know what? I think he's gonna be formidable
Oh,
when
yeah.
he comes back. So.
Ah.
Anyway, that's what's going on around the country. Let's jump in with our guest as we expand your search. I'm so excited to have this guest with us today. I have known him for a number of years. He grew up in the South, and he faced a lot of social pressure, but he still had this a flair for doing things the right way. He was very much into rap music, and he became a spokesman, really. He started to travel and put together I don't want to call it an act. An act is probably not the right term, but you can see him right here. He began to put together a career. And we used to have him come and do music at our youth conferences at the time, and I just couldn't be more happy to have him on the program today. He's here to talk about lots of things, creativity, influence. We're going to talk about his latest project. Please help me welcome to the program our good friend Fedel, everybody. Hey, what's up? Look at him all serious there. Yeah, what's up, man? How you doing? You can't hear me. All right, awesome. No, hear me? He can't hear me. All right, so.
I only hear the song. I hear the song. I can't hear Brent.
Okay, so let's kill the sound. Just kill that video altogether so he can hear me now.
I can hear you now.
There we go. All right. So anyway, how have you been? It's been so long. Last time I saw you, we were actually on a plane together, and we were actually sitting. I don't know if you remember that, but we were sitting in.
I do.
We were on the very, very back of the plane, but I know we were. I think we were both flying back to Oklahoma at the time. But anyway, how have you been, man? What's been happening?
Man, I've been great. First of all, thank you for having me on your show. You're doing a great job, you and your wife. It's funny. It's crazy when we think back how long we've known who each other are. So it's great. So thank you for having me. But hey, just like everybody else in this country right now, we are taking it as it comes. We're grateful. God has been good to us during this time. I guess we're at a point now. I'm in November where things where I am are kind of back to normal. I've actually back on the road a little bit. It's like, like the last month or so. But before then, during the summer, it was nothing but, it was like I evolved from just being the rapper who traveled from stage to stage to then being the communicator. So this summer was spent communicating on a lot of different topics where people people didn't have a lot of access to people who could help them navigate certain things. And so I became one of the guys that people were calling to have those conversations. And so this year's been, even though this has been a tough year for our country and for a lot of people, I'm grateful that my family is in a good position right now.
Yeah, amen. That's right. So let's start with the music. I know that you've just a prolific career so far. You've done great with everything. What is your latest project? What's going on with that? And how's that coming along?
So I actually have been in the studio recording my next project. This will be the first year I haven't dropped a project in years. It's maybe 8-9 years, maybe more. I was going to drop something earlier this year, felt like it wasn't right. I'm actually in the process of building what I would consider to be like a mental health campaign. Mental health is something that's really dear on my heart. So my next project is going to be tied in with my mental health awareness campaign that I'll be doing. I actually just partnered with a company called Right Now Media. I don't know if you've heard of it, but Right Now Media is the largest. They're like the Netflix for Christian biblical content as far as Bible studies. I just partnered with them to talk about anxiety. And that'll be a piece that'll be coming out soon. Well, it's actually out. They did a piece on anxiety, and I was able to help contribute to that. And I'll be releasing it on my Instagram soon. So my next project will be tied in to that conversation. And so I've been working hard on it. I took a break for probably the first time I've taken a break from the studio has been during quarantine. I feel like it was a time that I wanted to pull back, dive into my family, my kids, and just kind of free my mind from just always being ministry minded or always being musical minded. I really was able to pull back during quarantine and just spend time with the Lord. Just spend time freeing my mind.
Yeah.
And just taking care of my soul. And so next year you'll see a new project, along with a number of other things that me and my team is working on.
What you were saying there, I've heard just so many other folks say the same thing, that even though it was stressful to think about the world shutting down, it actually turned into a blessing for a lot of people. And I'm not making light of any of the folks that had tragic things happen during that, but there were some people that actually capitalized on this break from the rat race, if you will. And so to hear that, that's good. Now, you brought up the mental health awareness thing, and that was going to be where I was headed next. You really kind of become an advocate for folks that are facing depression and anxiety. I know that when we started this year, we didn't even really know the full extent of it, but the Lord had us to preach at the church about that, about overcoming depression and anxiety, and we got into some things, by Dr. Caroline Leaf and other people like that. But that's somebody that's something that is very passionate for you, because you struggled with some depression and anxiety in your life.
I did. I have, and I think the thing that inspired the passion to for awareness is that there was nowhere to go. And when you're when this is years ago, when it was really, really, really weighing on me, man, I didn't have an outlet. I tell the story like this. I don't know. I'm sure you remember Dean Crowell. Dean Crowell was played maybe the biggest part at pushing me to talk to somebody. I went to him about some things, and he was the first person to ever say, "Have you ever thought about going to a counselor?" And I would say that changed my life for the positive. And it showed me that I didn't know what faith was, what grace was, what believing the Lord, standing on His word was, until you have to wrestle through things that you can't prove to people that you're going through. It's like I can't like if I tear my ACL, I can't walk. I got a cast. And when you go through things like this, you can't. There's nobody saying, "Oh, good job." Most of the time, it's you're perceived as being weak, which makes it worse. And so, I'm just grateful because God put a lot of great resources in my life. He put a lot of great things in my life that helped me navigate it. And for me, it was just me having to deal with things that I had pressed down for years, and just kept going, and just let my ambition and other things. I let those things become the drug to push those things down. Sometimes even when you're doing, I've learned, especially I'm around a lot of people who do a lot of good works, and I've learned that even the people who do the good works can become a god. They can become a drug.
Come on,
to
that's
push
good.
down, to push down the things that God is sitting here, saying like, "Hey, I would love to help." But a lot of times we have so many excuses, and I mean, it's one of those things that I just want to contribute. I'm not a doctor, I didn't go to school for this. I just want to be able to use things that's happened in my life to just be able to help.
Yeah.
Because I know oftentimes just people knowing that there's somebody out there who has dealt with this, or somebody out there who can just give you an encouraging word, can really take things a long way, especially with the statistics of overdosing and suicide.
Right.
It's crazy. They're growing like crazy. It's growing especially in the white community. I just had a friend yesterday tell me about a story about his kids having to stop a kid from committing suicide at school with the jump rope.
My goodness.
And so some of these things, when you talk about, just hope and faith, there's just some areas that I feel like God has impressed on me to just help with, that are not pretty conversations, they're not sexy, but they can help a lot of people.
And it's so true. There's so many people that feel like they're not, almost like they're not saved if they're going through something like that. And the sad part about it is nothing could be further from the truth. It's I think it was Brother Hagin that actually said right after Oral Roberts' son passed away from suicide. And he was really distraught about it. And he told him, he said, listen, you wouldn't feel that way if he passed away from cancer or you passed away from some other disease. This is the same kind of thing, and we just need to be aware of it, and we need to grab a hold of that.
Good.
And for somebody like you on your platform to stand up and do that, and to be transparent about it, it's something that we've all dealt with on certain different levels. But for you to call that kind of attention to it, Fidel, is amazing, and I commend you for it. And great job. Keep that up, because so many people are out there that need it. I was shocked at my church at how many folks were dealing with it on a day-to-day, hour-to-hour almost basis. So let's talk about some other things. Now, you're also, I saw that you had recently had a conversation with a white pastor talking about some racial relation things that just seem to really paint a beautiful picture, because so many people obviously see that there is a need for conversations to be happening. What were some of the things you guys talked about in that? Because it looked amazing.
Well, first, big shout out to Falls Creek. That's the biggest summer camp in America, in the United States. They during the summer pull 6,000 students a week. They had me as the first rapper 2 years ago. They're in Oklahoma. They're about an hour away from OKC. And a couple of years ago, they brought me in to do every week of their camp. So 6,000 students a week. They brought me in after 8 or 9 weeks. So that was an honor. And so the conversation started back then, because when I've been on the road, two things that I've been able to talk to privately to a lot of people with platforms is race and mental health. It's been something that's just been on my heart. And so when everything that happened this year, there were a number of people who were just like, they picked up the phone and called me. It was like, bro, let me ask you, because I think one of the things that people are not talking about right now is a lot of the issues that have to do with race are happening within the white community. A lot of times it looks like, oh, it's black and white. No, like the calls that I was getting in summer were fathers and sons, moms and daughters. It was grandpa and grandchildren. The tension there, and almost everyone that I got came from that place of like, hey, my kids have this stance and the grandparents, and we don't know if we're going to be able to have Thanksgiving this year. I would say majority of my calls were coming from those type of situations, which are really unique. And so in that conversation that they had, which, I was really, honored to be a part of the conversation. It was their first event they've been able to have this year, like most of us. And basically we sat there and we had a conversation. And in that conversation, I was able to just highlight how I feel like we're at a point in our country where the Gen Z, the youth of the day, they are more diverse than ever before, and they are having friends, and there's more mixed homes than ever before. So, I mean, divorce is like 50%. So you have white families blending with other white families. You have a lot more kids who are dealing with a lot more issues that are getting worse, that are snowballing, and they're starting to see how hard it is to get attention to something like we were just talking about, like suicide. And I feel like a lot of those issues have kind of bled over to where groups are relating with struggles. So it's like the race thing has become an issue. It's always been an issue, but now you have more interracial couples than you ever had before. You have more mixed kids than you ever had before. And you have people growing up. And now those conversations are spilling up over to the white community, because in the 90s, if you were a student in the 90s, you didn't have access to TikTok and Twitter.
Yes.
So the George Floyd video, you would have never saw it if it happened in the 90s.
That's right.
You wouldn't have known. My daughter came home and she could have sworn she saw the plane that the helicopter that killed Kobe. Like she thought she saw the video. She would have never even come close to that. The closest thing we came to in the 90s was O.J. Simpson.
Yep.
That was, and then after that, it it was Columbine, which I know you remember that. That
Yes.
probably because I know where you were at that point. That was all around you, you know. And so Columbine was like kind of like the beginning of a lot of this stuff. And so now there's things being exposed and people have questions. And a lot of times, man, if you're baby boomer generation X, then you have you're like, bro, you don't necessarily have the answers. Or you don't really know. And so I've been fortunate enough I have such a large community of white people around me. I travel in majority spaces that are majority white when I'm rapping. I mean, between January and April, I was on the road every weekend. Those conversations behind the scenes with pastors, from everything about politics, everything from based on trust, have put me in a position where when this all went down, people were like, "Hey, bro, I would love to talk to you," and it's continuing because I'm in a position where even though everything that's going on, I understand that this will continue, and I try to keep a balanced perspective, because I'm just trying to give empathy. I want there to be more empathy toward the Black community, and that's kind of like where it stays, because I feel like empathy is more of the issue. I know there's a lot of different conversations, but I do think there's an empathy issue on issues that go on in the Black community that have gotten just for years been unlooked, that have not, been overlooked. That's causing some temper tantrums now.
Yeah.
And I think that my hope is that I can help with the empathy side. And I did at that conversation, not to go too long, but at that talk, I talked. There was a guy. He came up to me and he was like, "Look, man." He was a 50-year-old white man, and he was like, "Look, I'm a Trump supporter." He said, "I struggle with this whole thing," and he gave me a scenario of African American men that work at his job, that live around him, and he talked to me about the struggles that he has with them. And I sat down. We had a 25-minute conversation, and he left saying what I love to hear people say is, "Man, I never thought about it like that. I never had that
So good.
perspective." Because that's really what you want. I mean, he's 50, he's lived his life. You just hope that he can have a little more empathy to where he can tolerate things that he wouldn't maybe tolerate because now he understands it. That's my part in the whole conversation.
And it's incredible. Our guest today is Fedel. He is a Christian rapper, and really he kind of even transcends that. It's just a career that is now gone in more than music. He's now gone into helping with mental health awareness, and now, as you can see, much wisdom about the racial tensions that are here in the United States, and is really giving a perspective that people need to hear so that they can begin to understand and to learn from one another. I'm going to put your information up here on the screen real quick. If you'd like to follow along with Fedel, right there it is. It's fidelmusic.com, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Fedel Music, and he is on YouTube and SoundCloud at Fedel. And I'm telling you, there's a lot of good stuff that he's putting out, a lot of good music that he's putting out, and as you can tell, a lot of wisdom that he's putting out. I wish we had a whole hour to spend with you, but fortunately television kind of limits our time, but we want to have you back on, so we'll do it. We'll work out a time to have you back on to just keep spitting this wisdom because it's so good.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate you all, you and your wife. I mean, it's funny, there's history we could have brought up today that we're not going to bring, that we didn't have time to, but I do want to say this, that I am jealous because you all are in Florida, and my jealousy will continue. I love Dallas, Texas, but Florida is different. It's a special place.
You know what, though? They've both become the place everybody's moving to. Everybody's moving here, and everybody's moving there. So, So
exactly.
You got something good going on there in Texas. So
yep, you're right.
It's so good to talk to you. Have a great rest of your day.
Likewise.
Give our love to your wife and your kids and your family, and just tell them hey for us, and we'll definitely work out a time to have you back on.
All right, thank you all so much.
All right, take care. That's Fedel,
Right.
and as you can tell, lots of great wisdom, and we didn't get to do a lot of the music today, but you definitely need to get on and check that out. All right, let's take a moment and stop for directions. As he was talking there, I was just listening, and I was reminded about the words that Paul spoke. Paul said, I have become all things to all people, that I may win some. And I know that seems like it would put a lot of pressure on you, but the thing about it is you're surrounded in this world by all kinds of people that have different races, different beliefs, different facets. Some people come from different political climates than you do. Some people come from different countries and parts of the world. And the thing about it is if you live your life selfishly, thinking that the whole world revolves around you, you're not going to influence anybody positively. But the Bible calls us as believers to influence people positively. That's why conversations with people like Fidel are so important, because it helps us to understand what somebody else is going through. And in turn, it's making us all things to all people. In order for us to change, the entrance of information has to come. And I want to encourage you, as people that are supposed to bring salt and light to the world, that you increase what you're putting in, that you learn about what somebody else is going through. And that goes for people of all races, all creeds, all doctrines. You need to learn and understand what it's like to be in somebody else's shoes. But it's not just for selfish reasons. It's so that you can influence them for the kingdom and make this world a better place, the place that God created it to be. That's going to wrap it up for our show today. I'm so grateful to Jody and for Luke. I'm really grateful for Fidel, who came in today and took some time out of a really busy schedule to come and be with us. I know that it's hard to book things like that because people have so much stuff that they've got going on. But I'm really grateful to him. I want to encourage you guys. Next week we've got a whole nother great list of shows, and you'll not want to miss any of them. All right. So with that being said,
let's do this.
As you can tell, we're going to have technical problems getting out of here. So there it is. All right. Have a great rest of your day. I hope you found what you were looking for as we took the time today to expand your search and stop for directions. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks for joining us today. Connect with us on @ExpandingYourSearch on Facebook and Instagram, and @ExpandingSearch on Twitter. Relive any of our episodes on YouTube. We're available wherever podcasts are found, including Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. You can also download the Direction Ministries app on iOS, Android, Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire. Take some time today to expand your search and